You're about to learn even more so you catch the absolute bottom of the week. This red line is my entry and stop, so don't tell me this is hindsight. I posted the recording the other day. Let's get straight into it. First of all, why are we on the 4-hour time frame? Price always reverses from a reflection on the previous quarter. Here, this line is delineating for you, reflecting upon the previous week. See, the NASDAQ trades below it. The S&P fails to do so. This was the first element of anticipating this reversal. The 4-hour is tied to the previous week. You can extrapolate that out. The hourly is tied to previous day. 15-minute is tied to previous quarter of the day, right? Let's move on. Now that we have a general idea of where price is reversing from, we have an idea that it's bullish, we need to know where it's going to go. Why is this high particularly marked out? It's because this is the high before we begin reflecting on the previous week again. Now let me try to explain that in more detail. This is Monday of this week, right? This past week, right? So Monday open came down to there, right? We know that price always reverses from reflection upon the previous quarter. So the easiest target is always going to be price action that isn't in the previous quarter, right? All of this is in the current week. So when price was reflecting back on this, it wasn't the previous week. But once we got above here, then price would have been reflecting upon the previous week and was liable to reverse. Doesn't mean it would as soon as it got up there, right? It means once it gets into that area, it is liable to reverse if the correct factors come into play. That's why this was a very high probability draw on liquidity. And you can see on the S&P, it went up and through there, no problem. Why did it keep going? There's no previous quarter here to reflect upon, right? So there's no reason for it to reverse. It just kept going up, all right? Now, let's see how you can refine your entry to actually get something as good as. This is where things start to get very advanced, but if you want a high level of precision, this is how deep you need to go. I've pulled up the dollar to the left. Now the dollar is an inversely correlated asset with the NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow. Now what this means is that under normal conditions, the dollar does everything the opposite of those three. If those three are going up, the dollar goes down. If the dollar goes up, those three go down. If there's an up close candle on the dollar, you'd expect a down close candle on those three. Hopefully that makes sense. So in this case, what we have is SMT between sessions of the day with the dollar. The dollar goes above London's high, while the NASDAQ fails to go below London's low. Remember, they're inversely correlated. So now what we have, because this is the low that put in that SMT between weeks, now we have a following SMT between sessions in the same direction. You always want to be trading in the same direction as a higher time frame premise. That's very important. But there's even more information that we can glean from the dollar. This specific candle right here, the 11:30 15-minute candle, is up close. Now what did I say? Under normal conditions, you'd expect an inversely correlated asset to have the opposite close. But if we compare to the dollar here, the 11:30 candle is also up close. So this is actually a crack in correlation, making this a precision candle. And it's that very candle that I used to enter this move, right? This is the refinement. Now you can go even lower to the 1 minute, which is unnecessary. This is already a fantastic trade. But what I did is go even lower to the 1 minute. You can see that in the recording, and it would be helpful for you to try to study that recording and see why it is that I entered exactly where I did. But now you have the entire framework, every concept that I use. It's all out there. So I hope you got something from this video. If you made it all the way to the end, you might have a chance of making it. Probably not, if I'm being honest. Only like 3% of you will, but I'm wishing you all the best, and I hope that you make it through. Peace out.